Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
But who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts, CLR. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. And today we're reacting to JCS video, Casey Anthony, the Casey Anthony story. If you remember, this was a homicide trial that happened in Florida. Now, I think it was near Orlando. And I used to be on the board of the Minnesota Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And part of that board, I was responsible for doing some continuing legal education. And one of the people that we brought up was a guy by the name of Cheney Mason. And he wrote this book right here. He was one of the lawyers that tried that case. And it's Justice in America. He, fantastic guy. He tried the case with Jose Baez. And they got an acquittal in that case. So today we're going to react. I mean, I don't generally like children cases. I don't like children being abused or hurt in any way, but I always like a good trial, a good battle between the wits. But this was quite a challenge. There was a lot of stuff going on in this case, a lot of pre-trial stuff going on, a lot of stuff going on from the jail, a lot of stuff going on between the parents and the daughter. So let's get into this. This is a JCS video, Casey Anthony.
Most of you will already be aware of who 2-year-old Kaylee Anthony was. The majority know that she sadly passed away at some point between 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. on June 16, 2008. Her death is undoubtedly the most heartbreaking part of this story, and we only need a single word to epitomize her short life: tragic. But the primary subject of this video is not about the life nor the death of Kaylee Marie Anthony. It is in fact...
Here's the thing. Whenever you have a case where you start out where there's a victim and the victim is the child, you're starting out in a hole. You absolutely are starting out in a hole. And you're starting out in a hole because guess why? There's 3 parties in every criminal case. You have the perpetrator, the accuser, or the victim, and the rescuer. The rescuer is always the jury. The jury is always going to want to be in a position of rescuing. The trick as a defense lawyer is to make your client the victim so that they want to rescue your client from the government, who is the perpetrator or whoever the accuser is. In this case, you clearly have a victim. You have a child, and the child is deceased. So right away, people sitting in that jury box are thinking, what the hell did that person do? I guarantee you they're thinking that. If they're not thinking that, like that, they're not human.
About the psychological constitution of her mother, 22-year-old Casey Marie Anthony. So rather than tragic, you'll find the words disturbing and perplexing to be far better suited to the theme of this video. One of the many reasons this case is exceptional is how the present day's topic of discussion has little to do with the actual occurrences of the crime, but in fact the subsequent developments that followed. People are no longer talking about how or even why Kaylee Anthony passed away. They are instead talking about the manner in which a mother responded to her daughter's death.
Now, keep in mind that it's not a defendant's job to prove themselves innocent. It never is. A lot of people react very harshly, fry that person, blah, 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 blah. Thomas Jefferson said, better to let 10 guilty go free than 1 innocent be imprisoned. So our system of government has the burden of proof is on whoever brings the case, and the government's the one who brings a criminal case. So in all cases that are criminal, you're presumed innocent, and it's the burden of the government to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
All the acquired information we now have, even if we afford this person the most morally acceptable possibility of what occurred, her manner of conduct was still unimaginably cold-blooded.
And here's the other thing. What he's saying is true. When you look, when you have a circumstantial case, which is what this was, They look to all the behavior surrounding it. So if you took off, that's consciousness of guilt. If you laugh, consciousness of guilt. If you don't laugh, it's consciousness of guilt. If you cry, whatever your behaviors are, whoever is the arguing party is going to use that behavior to their advantage. And in this case, Casey Anthony did a whole lot of stuff that was not cool.
Home by the fact she was evaluated by 2 clinical psychologists during her time in custody, and not a single abnormality was discovered with relation to her psychological state. In other words, there were no signs of mental illness whatsoever. And this makes the character study of Casey Anthony just as fascinating as it is terrifying. A human being's state of mind is something most accurately assessed with the full capacity of hindsight. So before we evaluate our first segment of raw footage, here's a quick rundown of each of the essential moments that will give you a broader understanding of what we're actually dealing with. On the 15th of July, 2008, Orlando police received a call from Cindy Anthony, the grandmother of the victim.
911, what's your emergency? I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff. I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. We're talking about it for...
So, they don't call for a month. That's, I mean, and so ostensibly they've had contact with their daughter for a month, but they haven't seen their granddaughter for a month.
I little girl, my daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her. Your daughter admitted that the baby is where? But the babysitter took her a month ago. My daughter's been looking for her. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. She's...
So, I don't remember what was borne out at trial about that statement, but when you have statements made by a party that are later proved false or not proven true, that's a real issue. And I'm sure that was an issue in the trial.
Admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name? Kaylee, Caylee, Anthony.
Kaylee Anthony?
Yes.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her?
Hey, Sheriff's Department, they want to talk to you. Any questions?
I don't have anything to talk to them about. What the fuck? Honestly, would that really be your response? If you're missing your fucking kid? No, if you know where the kid is and you know that somebody fucked up.
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Who has...
So, meaning she just saw her daughter would be ostensibly alive.
her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Jaylap Fernandez Gonzalez.
To give some context to this bizarre phone call, Casey Anthony had left the family home with her daughter a month earlier, stating that she had a work assignment in Tampa and would be traveling the entire time. Kaylee's grandparents would ask repeatedly over the following month to see, or at least speak to their granddaughter, but Casey claimed each and every time that she was too busy with work and that Kaylee was...
I mean, it's like when your bill collector calls you, and you know, and you put them off. You say, "Oh, I'll pay you next week. I'll pay you next week. I'll pay you next week." Well, next week never fucking comes. And here you have Casey Anthony saying, "Oh yeah, well maybe next week. Oh, what tomorrow? Whatever." And probably knowing full well that the child has been killed or passed away, and you know you can only put that off for so long.
The nanny, who went by the name Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, or Zanny for short. On July 15th, exactly 6 weeks after Kaylee was last seen by her grandparents, George Anthony received a phone call that the family car was at the impound lot. This immediately alerted suspicion, as it was the same car Casey had supposedly been traveling with for work. Suspicion turned into panic once they picked up the vehicle, and George discovered a strong odor emanating from the trunk, one that he recognized from his years as a police officer, and found comparable to that of human decomposition. Through contacting one of Casey's friends,
And that smell is very distinct. Now, I've read a lot of reports about that because I read reports, either, pathologist reports from a forensic pathologist or a medical examiner, or police reports, and a decaying dead body has a definite odor.
Parents managed to track her down at her boyfriend's house in Orlando, where they were found smoking marijuana and watching TV. When inquired over the whereabouts of her daughter, Casey stated that she had been kidnapped 31 days before by the supposed babysitter. It was at that moment Cindy Anthony called 911.
So your daughter's missing. You're just smoking weed with your boyfriend. It just doesn't smell good, does it?
911, what's your emergency? Who has her? Do you have a name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Who is that? Babysitter?
She's been my nanny for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid. I think the officers are here.
The officers are there?
Yes.
Now let's indulge in the world of fantasy for just a moment and pretend all of what Casey had just stated was true. She had indeed been working, and her daughter was in fact kidnapped by the babysitter a month earlier. The immediate premise most would gather would be that Casey had no regard for her daughter whatsoever. In the 911 call, there was no urgency nor concern in her voice, and rather than her volunteering information, which most parents would do in a frantic manner, it had to be acquired by the dispatcher through repeated inquisition. All you have
See what I'm saying? I mean, even JCS looks at her behavior, little this, a little that, and her demeanor. I mean, she almost can't be bothered.
do is compare Casey's dialogue to that of her mother's in the same phone call. One was indifferent, while the other was distraught. Police would have picked up on this immediately. Even without the bizarre phone call, the circumstances alone would make Casey the prime suspect in her daughter's disappearance.
Well, first of all, anytime a kid is missing or is hurt, guess who the closest people are the suspects.
Immediately interviewed as a witness, which unbeknownst to her was the detective's first step in locking her into as many lies as possible.
Day right now is July 16, 2008. The time right now is 04:11 hours. I'm Detective Mellish with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I am with Casey Anthony, is that correct?
Yes.
Casey, you understand this is being recorded?
Yes.
You have any objection to that?
No.
Casey, I got called here in reference to a missing child. You took Casey to...
You see this detective's cadence in his voice? He's not threatening. He's not, some of the best detectives are the most subdued ones. The guys who just say, oh, well, tell me more about that. That sounds, interesting. Or, well, what did you do then? And they just let you go on. And you think you're telling your story and you're going to talk your way out of it. But meanwhile, they've got other facts that you don't know about. And they're letting you basically hang yourself.
Babysitter's house?
Yes.
And who was this babysitter?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Okay. How long had you known Zenaida?
Almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years Christmas.
What did she say? She said she's been her nanny for 1.5 years.
And where did you meet her? Who did you meet her through?
A mutual friend. His name is Jeffrey Michael Hopkins. I met him at Nickelodeon at Universal, and I met her through him. She was his son's nanny at the time.
Does Jeffrey still work at Universal?
No, he does not.
How long has it been since he left?
About 9-10 months, give or take. He moved up to North Carolina for a short time and moved down to Jacksonville within the last 3 months.
How would you characterize your relationship with Miss Anthony?
More or less acquaintances,
Were very good friends?
not very good friends.
Did you ever work at Universal Studios?
I did.
When did you work at Universal Studios?
Approximately 2002.
How long did you work there for?
1 year.
Did you ever work there at the same time that Casey Anthony worked?
I don't think so.
You don't recall ever seeing her there?
Never.
Did you ever introduce Casey Anthony to a woman by the name of Zenaida Gonzalez?
I did not.
Did you ever use Zenaida Gonzalez as a nanny?
No, sir.
Do you have any children?
No, sir.
Have you lived in the Orlando area consistently since 2002?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever lived in Jacksonville?
No, sir.
See, that is the reason you don't talk to the cops. What do I say? Stop self-snitching. Stop, you have the right not to talk to fucking cops. You absolutely have the right to not talk to cops. And guess what? When you talk to cops, if you make shit up, they're going to jam that shit right up your ass. And that's what they're doing here.
Ever lived in North Carolina?
No, sir.
Did you see Casey?
Now, if she had never talked to the cops, they wouldn't have any of this cross-examination.
In the month of June of 2008?
No, sir.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
About a week and a half ago.
Do you know a telephone number for him?
I can find a number for him. I don't know a number offhand. No, I do not.
So you met Zenaida through Jeffrey Hopkins.
I did.
And his son Zach Hopkins, I guess. Zenaida used to watch over Zach?
Yes.
And when did she start watching over your child?
It's been within the last year and a half, 2 years that she started watching Kaylee.
How would you normally drop off, or how would you normally do the exchange with your child and Zenaida? Would you drop the child off? Would she meet you somewhere?
I would usually drop her off.
See, this is a good detective because he's just getting out the facts, and he probably knows everything she's telling him is bullshit.
A few months, we would go over to Jeff's house. He lived over in Avalon Park.
And you would go to Jeff's house why?
To drop off Kaylee. That's where Zenaida would go to watch both of the kids.
Okay.
It was in a nice centralized area. He had a decent sized house.
And if you're gonna lie, say something that you know that they can't easily disprove. She probably didn't even know if this guy had kids or not, and so you don't go down that path. I mean, it's so easily disproven. Well, I don't have any kids. So everything, if he doesn't have any fucking kids, everything she says is going to be bullshit. Everything.
Good room for the two of them.
Go back to your statement. You dropped off Kaylee June 9th, and walk me through. You dropped her off to go to work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Get off of work and go from there.
I got off of work, left Universal, driving back to pick up Kaylee like a normal day. And I show up to the apartment, knock on the door, nobody answers. So I call Zenaida's cell phone and it's out of service. I didn't really want to come home. I wasn't sure what I'd say about not knowing where Kaylee was. Still hoping that I would get a call or, find out that Kaylee was coming back so that I could go get her. And I ended up going to my boyfriend Anthony's house, who lived in Sutton Place.
Did you talk to Anthony about what happened with Kaylee?
No, I did not.
Have you talked to anyone?
So you go to your boyfriend's house. Don't you think he'd say, "Where's Kaylee?" Where is? This is why you don't talk to cops.
About Kaylee, about your incident with Kaylee, or the fact
Outside
that
of
she's missing?
A couple people, a couple mutual friends.
Who did you talk to about it?
I talked to Jeffrey Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Juliette Lewis. She's one of my coworkers at Universal.
She works.
So when they do this, you know they're going to go talk to everybody that's in her phone, everybody that she's ever talked to. They're going to go see Juliette Lewis, whoever the fuck she is. And guess what? They're going to say, she never talked to us about that.
So work at Universal?
Yes.
What do you do at Universal?
An event coordinator.
Okay. What is Juliet? What position is she? Where she work?
She's also an event coordinator. We work in the same department.
Juliette Lewis doesn't exist. Casey had briefly worked at Universal, but hadn't been employed there for over 2 years prior to the...
See what I'm saying? You make lies that are just so easily disproved. She's thinking such short term. She's thinking right here, I'm just going to tell him this lie so he believes it, and he's not going to check anything. Bullshit, he's not going to check anything. He's going to find out that you didn't work at Universal, that you don't know. It's just the lies. I'm shocked at how this case actually turned out, but here, let's listen more.
Interview. And she wasn't an event coordinator. She stood behind a kiosk and sold photos of people after they had been on the Incredible Hulk ride.
You have a number for Julia?
Offhand, I can't think of one.
Is she in your SIM card?
No, she's not. Some of the more recent numbers, her number just changed because she just moved back up north. She, within the last 2 months, has...
And everybody's just kind of not available all of a sudden. I smell bullshit.
finished moving up to New York. She's subleasing her apartment.
So Juliet doesn't work at Universal anymore?
No, she does not.
What's the reason, I asked you this before and I'll ask you just for the record, what's the reason you didn't call the police before?
I think part of me was naive enough to think that I could handle this myself, which obviously I couldn't.
Or maybe I fucking know how she died and I'm afraid of getting called on the carpet for it.
And I was scared that something would happen to her if I did notify the authorities or got the media involved. Just the fear of the unknown, fear of the potential of Kaylee getting hurt, of not seeing my daughter again.
See, everything is just drips bullshit. Just bullshit. And this is why you do not talk to the cops. Even if you're innocent, you don't talk to the cops because you could unwittingly corroborate some theory of guilt.
I asked you this at the onset and asked you before we went on tape, and I'll ask you again just to make sure we're clear. Is there anything about this story that you're telling me that is untrue? Or is there anything that you want to change or divert from what you've already told me?
No, sir.
Did you cause any injury to your child, Kaylee?
No, sir.
Did you hurt Kaylee or leave her somewhere and you're worried that if we find that out that people are going to look at you the wrong way?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
And you're telling me that Zenaida took your child without your permission and hasn't returned her?
The last person that I've seen with my daughter, yes.
Is she Puerto Rican? Is she Dominican? Is she white?
She's mixed. She's black and Puerto Rican.
Is there any underlying cause to why Zenaida would have taken your child?
Nothing that...
Did she ever make any statements to you about...
Only how much she loves Kaylee and how great of a kid she is.
And when you talked to Jeffrey afterwards, I'm assuming that Jeffrey's child is still with him?
His child is still with him.
He doesn't have one.
Zenaida had a family up in New England, up in New York or
Yes,
something?
she has...
He doesn't fucking have one. I mean,
her mother and her sister.
So easily disproven.
New York. She's originally from New York. Pretty much grew up there, moved down here, went to the University of Florida.
Zenaida, the nanny, doesn't exist. Casey never had a babysitter. Being the retrospective viewer, we have the benefit of knowing these are outright fabrications, and these meticulous details are a textbook sign of a pathological liar. She speaks eloquently and naturally as if her dialogue is a reflex response to the questions she's being asked, when in reality, each of these minor details are calculated and deliberately placed for the purpose of deception, and the nonchalant, easygoing tone she employs is used to camouflage anxiety. Casey has not only become accustomed to manipulation, she has become extremely skilled in how to use it effectively. It takes us to the concept of nurture and how it most likely had a significant impact on her current circumstances. If we go through what we know about Casey's domestic history, there are numerous occasions where she had gotten away with things that most would not, simply due to the fact that she was able to continuously lie without conscience. A prime example could be when she was 18 years old and stopped attending class midway through her senior year. She literally skipped the entire second half of her final year to go hang out with her older boyfriend. Her parents became suspicious on several occasions, yet each and every time, Casey had some whimsical excuse to which she was given the benefit of the doubt. Then just...
Now, that is tough for a parent because guess what your natural instinct for a parent is to do? Is to believe your child, right? I've been through that with my children, believing them that they were going to school or doing this or doing that, when the exact opposite was fucking true. But so when it comes time to something huge like this, you would never even imagine that your child could have any role in what's going on.
Days before graduation, her parents were informed by the school of her truancy and that she would not be graduating. When confronted, Casey's excuse was that her timetable was mixed up by the school, causing her to miss classes through no fault of her own. This is obviously a completely baffling excuse that no sane person would ever believe. Yet whether it be through denial or an overprotective nature, Casey's parents not only took her at her word, but even shielded her from the consequences of her actions. They lied to all their family friends that she graduated with honors, and even threw her an extravagant graduation party the day after. This is just one of the...
That's a little messed up, honestly. I mean, if that's my kid, I'm saying, oh, you didn't go to school from January to May and I'm throwing you a fucking graduation party? I don't think so.
Many occurrences where Casey faced no ramifications for misconduct. It seemed to give her the belief that no matter what she did, as long as she could spin one lie after another, or at least drag a lie out for as long as possible, everything would work itself out. The truth is that everything did work itself out when she was dealing with her parents, and she evidently thought the same rules applied with regard to national law and a missing child's investigation. After the initial statement you just heard, Casey was asked if she could take police to all places of interest. She happily obliged, and then proceeded to lead them to a multitude of fake addresses which she had nothing to do with. She then took them to her supposed office at Universal Studios and literally led 3 senior investigators to the very end of the building, taking over 25 minutes to walk to, before she finally turned around, put her hands in her back pockets, laughed, and admitted that she didn't work there. Completely dumbfounded,
How stupid is that? I mean, but that's what a narcissist does. You know what a narcissist is? A narcissist is somebody who believes their own bullshit, or believes the world revolves around them, that they just can't, they have no compassion for others. They have no regard for the truth. They only feed their own ego and their own sensibilities. And how she couldn't see where the fuck this is going, from a mile away, is just ridiculous.
Detectives placed her under arrest and took her to a conference room in the building for what was essentially an interrogation.
Since I left you this morning, I've gone to every address that you've told me. I came over here, I've already talked to all the employees. I found out all these names that you're giving me are people that either never worked here or have been fired here for a long time ago. Okay? So where we are right now is in a position that doesn't look very good for you. Because obviously I know, and you know, that everything you told me is a lie, correct?
Not everything that I told you.
Pretty much everything that you've told me, including where Kaylee is right now.
That I don't know where she is.
Sure you do. And here's
absolutely
listen,
do not know where she
let me explain something.
See, here's the deal. At this point, if I'm that detective, I'd be fucking pissed too, because you're taking me on a wild goose chase, all over the place, and it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. And here's the thing that she lacks any insight that she thinks that this would be successful.
I know that everything that you've told me is a lie. I am very confident, just by having talked to you a short period of time, that you know where she is.
I legitimately have not seen my daughter in 5 weeks. I didn't let anything happen to her, except I trusted her with somebody that had been taking care of her, that had been taking good care of her, someone that she was comfortable with, that I was comfortable with.
What about Jeff? You said Jeff worked here until about 2 months ago?
No, he hasn't worked here for quite a while.
10 months? How long?
It's been at least 10 months.
Okay. He got fired in 2002. He hasn't been an employee here since 2002.
We put a lot more together than I think you realize we put together. My question to you is, we're in this office because our purpose in coming here was to do what?
I'm trying to think of places where I know she's been.
You're not answering the question. Do you want us to help?
Yes,
you want to help us find your daughter?
I do want you to
Well,
help.
a good starting point would be to answer the questions, okay? If I say to you, we're here because, and then you just ignore that like I never asked it and go off in some other direction, is that answering the question?
No.
Okay. Well, let's go through this again. We're here because
I lied, because I brought you up here, and honestly I was reaching for
No, stop
another
right
avenue.
here. I want you to tell me how lying to us is going to help us find your daughter.
It's not going to.
Well, then if the main thing you want to do is find your daughter, and you don't think lying to us is going to help us find her, why would you do that?
Because I'm scared, and I know I'm running out of options. It's been a month.
And I know I'm running out of options. That means she's been delaying. It's sort of like a Ponzi scheme. You know what a Ponzi scheme is? Ponzi scheme is where I con you into giving me money, for some investment. That's bullshit. I go spend it, and then I find another guy. Oh, here's your money back. And then you keep doing it. Eventually, you run out of options. And that's exactly what's happened with her. She's told so many lies, and she's gotten to the end of the rope. And there's no more lies to be had.
I'm scared of not seeing my daughter ever again.
I'm a parent, too. I would have been beside myself.
I have been.
I would have called them.
5 fucking weeks without seeing you. You know, when my wife and I split up a long time ago, and all of a sudden I couldn't see my son the next day, I went apeshit. And I knew where he was. Imagine not being able to see your child for 5 weeks. Your child. Any one of you who are parents know exactly what I'm talking about.
Immediately, and that's the part that I just don't understand.
I
We've
didn't know
got so
what
many
to do.
resources out there that we could help on day one.
You didn't know what to do.
I didn't know what to do. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, they haven't been gone that long. Maybe I can find them. Maybe I can track them down.
We're not stupid, okay? And what you're doing right now is you're treating us like we're stupid. Everything that's coming out of your mouth is a lie. Everything. Either you give Kaylee to someone and you don't want anyone to find out because you think you're a bad mom, or something happened to Kaylee and Kaylee's buried somewhere or in a trash can somewhere, and you had something to do with it. Either way, right now, it's not a very pretty picture to be painting. You're painting yourself as a very bad person. It needs to end.
The truthful thing is that I have not seen my daughter. The last time that I saw her was on the 9th of June.
Remember we had those 2 people that we were talking about, the person who had an accident and a person who's just a cold-blooded, callous monster? That's telling me that you are the second person, this cold-blooded, callous monster who doesn't care and doesn't want to help because she's afraid that something so heinous happened that everyone's going to look at her and say, she's a monster, she deserves to go away, she deserves to never see the light of day, this bad thing should happen to her. I don't want to believe that right now, but you're giving me no choice. Tell us.
Who gives a flying fuck what you believe? I mean, it's the cop. So, but it's very tense. And, you know, it's easy for me to say that right here because I'm not on the hot seat. But when you're in that hot seat, you know, if you're a normal person, you get sweaty, your heart starts racing, you feel the heat. And that's why you don't talk to cops.
What happened to Kaylee? Tell us what happened to Kaylee.
I dropped off Kaylee. And that's the last time that I've seen her. I dropped her off.
Where did you drop her off?
I dropped her off at that apartment.
No, you didn't.
That's exactly where I dropped her off.
Did you just think that one day she's just going to show up at your house?
No, I sat around yesterday trying to figure out what to do. I'm glad that I ended up seeing my mom, that all of that stuff happened. It happened for a reason because
You're
it was
glad
fast
you
too.
saw your mom. You could have saw your mom 5 weeks ago and said, Mom, I don't know
I
what...
saw my mom's reaction right off the bat, and it would have been the same from the get-go.
So wait a minute, you're more afraid of your mom's reaction than you are if you ever see your daughter again?
You know, I'm absolutely petrified. Absolutely petrified. I know my mom will never forgive me.
Petrified? Does she sound petrified? No, she doesn't. But let's listen more.
I'm never going to forgive myself.
Is it that there's some other thing more important in your life?
I'm never going to forgive myself. You know, here's the thing. There's certain little strings of words that she puts together that are probably truthful. I'm never going to forgive myself. For what? Why would you need to forgive yourself for anything?
Now that you just weren't really focused on what you were saying when you told us, so you kind of just accidentally told us you had an office here and we needed to be here, or did you purposely mislead us? Which of those two is it?
I purposely misled.
Okay, so you purposely misled us. This was all in an attempt to help find your daughter, right? That makes sense to you, correct?
In a backward sort of way, yes.
Backwards sort
I'm
of
coming
way.
back to places that are familiar to me, that I know are familiar.
I'm coming back to places that are familiar to me, that I know are familiar to her. Does that make any sense at all?
To her. Familiar situations that
What did you
maybe,
think?
just maybe,
How old is she?
would help. She's almost 3.
She's almost 3. What do you think,
in a
she's going to take a cab here? I mean,
I know
how do
she's
you think
not.
she's going to get here?
Because she's with someone else.
She's with someone else who's hid her from you for 5 weeks.
Yes.
Why would a person who has hid your daughter from you for 5 weeks, okay, bring her to the building that you used to work at?
I don't know what else to do anymore. If I knew where she was, if something
Well, let me
would have
ask you
happened,
this.
I would have admitted that a long time ago.
Do you believe thinking up more lies to tell us will help us?
She's with someone that I absolutely do not trust, and that I'm absolutely scared
That you don't trust yet was babysitting your daughter for a year.
I don't trust her now because of what happened.
Who did you call first? Who did you go to for help first to help try to find her?
No one.
Oh, no one. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
Casey was then taken to the county jail, where she in the evening hours was able to make a phone call, and just happened to see her mother on the local news moments before speaking to her.
Casey? Mom. Hey, sweetie. Well, I just saw your nice little cameo on TV. Which one?
You hear that tone in her fucking voice? You see a little cameo on TV. I mean, she's on the hot seat, but she's indignant that her mom is on TV. Well, what do you call that? That's a narcissist. That's somebody that is so deep-seated in their own world that they don't give a flying fuck about anyone or anything but themselves.
What do you mean, which one? Which one? I did 4 different ones, and I don't know. I haven't seen them all. I've only seen 1 or 2 so far. You don't know what my involvement is and stuff? Casey. Mom. What? No. I don't know what your involvement is, sweetheart. You're not telling me where she's at. Because I don't f***ing know where she's at. Are you kidding me? Casey, don't waste your call. No.
And here's the thing. Anytime you make a call from a facility, it's recorded. Even if you think it's not recorded, it's recorded. And if you're going somewhere to have a visit and you're there between glass, it's recorded. Everything is recorded. So nothing's safe. So if you've got a baby's daddy or baby's mama who's behind the glass in a facility, do not talk about your case. Do not talk about your case, because not only are they recorded, they keep those recordings. They don't ever get rid of them. And if you're sitting there waiting for a homicide or waiting for a trial and you talk about a witness or you talk about that, they're going to mine that data. They're going to mine those calls, and they will use those calls against you.
Well, sitting in the jail? Whose fault is you're sitting in the jail? You're blaming me that you're sitting in the jail? Blame yourself for telling lies. You mean it's not your fault? What do you mean it's not your fault, sweetheart? If you'd have told them the truth and not lied about everything, they wouldn't... Do me a favor, just tell me what Tony's number is. I don't want to talk to you right now.
What a little fucking bitch, to be honest with you. I honestly, I mean, what the hell? I can't even fathom the indignation she has. And she's the one who's responsible for all this crap.
I don't have his number. We'll get it from Lee, because I know Lee's at the house. Get Tony's number for me.
Hey?
Hey, can you give me Tony's number?
I can do that. I don't know what Bill Good's going to do at this point.
Well, I'd like to talk to him anyway.
Okay.
Because I called to talk to my mother, and it's f***ing waste. Oh, by the way, I don't want any of you coming up here when I have my first hearing for bond and everything else. Like, don't even waste your time coming up here.
You're making it real tough for anybody to want to try to... I'm not going around and around with you. That's pretty pointless. Christina would love to talk to you because she thinks that you will tell her what's going on. Frankly, we're going to find out. Everything she's telling us is a lie.
If I knew where Kaylee was, do you think any of this would be happening? No.
Anyway, you only got a couple minutes with us, so I'm not going to let you completely waste it. Here's Christina. She thinks she can get through.
No, I want Tony's number. I'm not talking to anybody else.
Hello?
Hi, I'm glad everybody's at my house. Do me a favor, get my brother back, because I need Tony's number.
Does Tony have anything to do with Kaylee?
No, nothing.
Okay, so why do you want to talk to Tony?
He's my boyfriend, and I want to actually try to sit and talk to him because I didn't get a chance to talk to him earlier because I got arrested on whim today. I just want to talk to Tony and get a little bit of...
Casey, you have to tell me if you know anything about Kaylee.
Sweetheart,
if anything happens with Kaylee, Casey, I'll die. You understand? I'll die. If anything happens to that baby.
Oh my God, calling you guys? Oh, wait.
And so look at that. Christina, her best friend, is more upset about the disappearance than her own mother, Kaylee. Or Casey.
Huge weight.
Casey appeared in the court the next morning and was initially denied bail by the judge. He cited his reason as her undeniable disregard for the welfare of her own child. She was kept in protective custody, and it would be 9 days until she received her first visit from her parents.
Hi. Sweetie, we've been watching you for so long.
See what I said? I said everything's recorded. So you come to a visit, it's recorded.
I love you too. Hi.
We've been seeing you sitting down. We forgive anything that you've said
Oh,
or done.
Hold on. Can we turn the volume down? Yeah, you can probably hear it. My head's gonna explode. What's that?
How do you laugh in that situation? I just don't know how you're not bawling. It's been 9 days since you've seen your folks. How are you not just bawling?
T-shirt. I didn't get a chance to ask him, other things
Kaylee's
besides.
picture's on the back.
Is it? Can Dad show me the shirt?
Yeah, turn around so you can see. It's the Never Lose Hope Foundation. Do you see it?
I can see
Your
part
picture?
of it, yeah.
Have you seen me? And then it has the information on how to contact.
Okay.
Casey, you don't realize the whole United States is looking for our Kaylee.
I know that, Mom.
Her cover's going to be on People magazine in a few days.
Okay.
With a readership of over 46 million adults in America, having your missing child on the front cover of People magazine would seem as a godsend to most. Yet Casey's response is almost as if it's a lost cause.
Everybody is looking for her.
Good.
Everybody is looking for her. Are we going to be able to find her, do you think?
I hope we can, Mom.
See, Mom is asking that question because Mom knows. Mom knows that the kid is probably dead. I bet you any money.
No, I didn't get a chance to ask Lee.
Can you look up a little bit more? Raise your eyes up a little bit. There you go. So now, look straight up so I can look into your eyes, darling. Thank you. I need to do that. It's okay to cry, Casey. It's all right, love. We've all been crying.
Setting aside morality and ethics for just a moment, Casey at this point would be emotionally exhausted. She had been sitting in an isolated jail cell for almost 2 weeks as the entire world was turning against her. Anyone in her position, guilty or otherwise, would be at near breaking point, and her composed exterior now finally slips. She, for a brief moment, allows herself to be vulnerable, and for perhaps the first time, expresses the pain of her situation. This is one of the few moments where Casey's true self is on display. Of itself, it's a touching moment between a mother and daughter, yet if we add in the context of the surrounding elements, she is only expressing this pain for herself. Just a moment ago, when she saw her deceased daughter's face on her father's shirt, none of this emotion came out.
Casey, I want to ask you just a couple questions.
Good.
The rest of the visit is extremely bizarre. Casey's parents try to extract any information they can about Kaylee's possible whereabouts, and each time are essentially dismissed by Casey as if they're asking pointless and irritating questions.
Do we have any pictures of Sandy's apartment?
Lee and I already talked about this. I don't know. It could be on the desk at home. I don't know.
What is I can't get into your,
I gave Lee everything already. I gave Lee all of the passwords, everything we could possibly think of all over again.
I want to get some video clips off Kaylee because the video clip with Grandpa is really helping people. Still pictures don't show.
No, they don't show her personality.
Right, and we need to show her personality, so I need to make sure we get that password.
Yeah, I gave Lee the password.
Please look up, sweetheart. I need to see your eyes.
I want to be able to look at you guys, too. I can't look at you and look at the camera.
Well, you don't have to look at the camera. Look at me.
I'm looking at you.
Okay.
You're sitting very low.
I know.
The exchange switches back and forth from inquisitive and challenging to sympathetic and loving, and every time her parents stop inquiring over the case and show that they still care about Casey herself is when the tears come out.
Do you want to speak to your father now?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, gorgeous, how you doing?
I look like hell.
Well, you know something? You really need to keep your spirit high for all this.
I haven't been crying while I've been in here.
Well, you know something?
Here's the thing. This woman wound up being the scourge nationwide, and I don't envy her position. It would never happen with me because I cared for my children and I knew where they were at all fucking times. But I don't envy her name as it is now.
Books and do other things to keep my mind off of stuff.
Well, you know, I want to be able to reach out and hug you and give you the big Papa Joe hug. But you know, we got to get that little girl back any way we can, and we're doing everything we can.
My only concern. I gave Lee a statement. I want him to speak to whoever in the media, give them a statement specifically from me. He's going to give them an exact quote.
Every time Casey's parents mention that people are willing to help with a search, Casey dismisses their credibility and even attacks some of their characters while she's at it.
Tara?
Tara from Michigan.
You mean Mark's psycho ex-wife, Tara?
Yes.
Listen. People like Tara, people like Jesse who are maybe trying to help, even Christina, God bless her, don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Of course they don't, because she knows she's dead.
You know, I want to take your pain away from you, so you know, you can tell me anything.
I know that, Dad.
I miss you, sweetie.
I know that. I miss you too.
And here's the thing: when you're a parent in this situation, when you're a parent just generally, and you have a shitty kid, not that it's difficult to break that bond, that parent-child bond, even when your child is in this position, because they want to believe their daughter did not. I mean, they can't believe their daughter did something to their own grandchild.
I wish I could have been a better dad, a better grandpa, you know?
You've been a great dad, and you've been the best grandfather. Don't for a second think otherwise.
Well, you know,
you and Mom have been the best grandparents. Kaylee's been so lucky. Kaylee is so lucky to have both of you. I can't even put into words how glad I am that she's had both of you. And that she still has both of you.
You know, it goes without saying, you know, that our house is empty without both of you there. It's empty. All the little things that we took for granted, we miss them so much.
That's exactly how I feel.
All your little things and all her little things, it hurts. We're not there. Mom and I are just going through the motions, you know?
I eat a lot of things you never used to eat before because when you're hungry, you'll eat.
All right, so that was the first part of the Casey Anthony story. So now she's lied to the cops about a lot of things, and now she's in custody, and she's bawling her eyes out only at certain things, and maintaining her indignant attitude while she's in jail. So we'll analyze the rest of this story, and you'll see how it comes in part 2. So if you're watching this, subscribe, like, and can't wait for part 2. If you are watching this, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, hit us up on Patreon, order one of these because we don't want you self-snitching. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.